A strong win rate can make a business feel safer than it should. From the outside, it looks like a clean signal. A high percentage of deals are closing. A meaningful share of opportunities is converting. The number appears to prove that the commercial process is working well. That is why win rate gets treated so often as a summary metric. It feels decisive. But win rate on its own can be very misleading. Because a win rate does not explain what kind of pipeline produced it. It does not show how much volume existed, how much weak opportunity was filtered out, how much real coverage the business had, how much pipeline strength was present underneath. That distinction matters. A business can have a high win rate and still have a weak pipeline. It can be too selective too late. It can be working from low volume. It can be converting a small number of strong opportunities while lacking enough overall coverage to support future revenue consistently. In that case, the win rate looks strong, but the system underneath may still be too thin, too narrow, or too fragile to support the business well enough. This is why win rate should never be treated as a complete signal by itself. It only describes how many opportunities closed relative to a given set. It does not tell the business whether that set was healthy enough, large enough, or strong enough to create reliable pipeline support overall. That is where context matters. Because without pipeline context, a good win rate can create confidence that the broader system has not actually earned.
What makes this dangerous is that win rate feels conclusive. The percentage looks precise. It appears easy to compare. It seems to answer whether the pipeline is performing well. But the number is only as useful as the context around it. A win rate does not tell the business how much opportunity entered the system. It does not tell the business how much strong opportunity was available. It does not tell the business whether enough pipeline existed to carry the target safely. That is the gap. Because a high win rate can still sit on top of low pipeline coverage. A business may close a respectable share of opportunities and still remain exposed because too few credible opportunities were in play overall. That means the system can look efficient while still being too thin. The opposite can also happen. A lower win rate may sit inside a larger, healthier, better covered pipeline that is actually giving the business more real protection. This is why win rate alone can create the wrong story. It makes performance feel stronger or weaker without showing the quality, breadth, and condition of the pipeline that produced it. A better reading asks more. Not only what percentage closed, but what kind of pipeline did that percentage come from? And what does that mean for future revenue strength? That is the question that keeps win rate useful without letting it become misleading. This is why win rate should never be read as a strength signal on its own. A pipeline is not healthy just because a good share of opportunities are closing. Health depends on more than that. It depends on how much real opportunity the business is carrying, how much credible value is still moving through the system, how much coverage exists relative to what revenue still needs to be supported. If those conditions are weak, a strong win rate can still sit on top of a fragile commercial system. That is the real issue. Because a business can become proud of efficiency inside a pipeline that is too narrow to protect future performance well. Now, the number looks strong, but the system underneath may still be exposed. Too little coverage, too little room for loss, too little strength in the next cycle to support stable revenue timing. This is where win rate starts hiding weakness instead of revealing health. The business sees conversion, but it misses sufficiency. It sees percentage, but it misses support. That is why pipeline context matters so much. It tells the business whether the win rate is being produced by a system that is actually strong enough overall, or by a system that is only performing well inside a pipeline that may still be too small, too soft, or too fragile to trust with enough confidence. Without that context, win rate becomes too flattering. It describes success, but not whether success is happening inside a pipeline that is truly healthy enough to support what comes next.
This is also why win rate can distort decision-making when it is treated as if it were the main proof of pipeline quality. A strong percentage can make the business less urgent than it should be. It feels like evidence that the system is working. But if the pipeline underneath is too thin, too dependent on a small number of strong cases, or too weak in future coverage, then the win rate may be telling only part of the story. That is dangerous, because the business may delay action it still needs. It may feel less pressure to improve coverage, less pressure to strengthen qualification, less pressure to address weak movement earlier in the pipeline. Now the number creates comfort without enough protection. That is the real risk of reading win rate in isolation. A metric that should support judgment starts softening it instead. A better system does not ignore win rate. It puts win rate in context. How much opportunity existed, how strong the pipeline was, how much future support is still forming, how much room the business has to absorb normal loss. Those questions keep the metric honest, because a strong win rate inside a weak pipeline should not create the same confidence as a strong win rate inside a healthy, well-covered, well-moving system. That is why win rate is not enough on its own. It can describe an outcome well, but it cannot describe pipeline health fully without the structure around it being read just as carefully.
This is why win rate becomes much more useful when it is treated as one signal inside a wider system, not as the final answer by itself. A strong pipeline does not only need opportunities to close, it needs enough opportunity entering, enough opportunity advancing, enough coverage forming, and enough quality inside the system to make future revenue believable. Win rate only captures one part of that picture. It shows how effectively the business is converting a given set of opportunities. That matters, but it does not show whether that set was large enough, strong enough, or healthy enough to support the business beyond the current outcome. That is the real limitation. Because a business can win efficiently inside a pipeline that is still too thin to trust. And when that happens, the numbers sound stronger than the system really is. This is why context protects interpretation. It keeps the business from celebrating conversion while ignoring fragility. It keeps the metric useful without letting it become flattering. A healthier reading asks, what is the win rate telling us? What is it not telling us? And what does the surrounding pipeline say about whether that success is actually sustainable? That is the standard that makes win rate meaningful. Not as a standalone proof of health, but as one part of a much larger judgment about the real strength of the pipeline underneath. When win rate is read well, it becomes a refinement metric, not a comfort metric. That is the real difference. A comfort metric makes the business feel safer. A refinement metric helps the business judge more precisely what kind of system is actually producing the result. That is how win rate should be used. Not to assume the pipeline is healthy, but to understand how one part of pipeline performance is behaving inside a much larger structure. Because once context is added, the meaning of win rate changes. A strong win rate inside a healthy pipeline can confirm real strength. A strong win rate inside a thin or fragile pipeline can confirm efficiency, but not safety. And that distinction matters, because safety is what protects future revenue, not percentage alone. This is why the business should never stop at the number itself. It should ask how much support existed underneath, how much future opportunity is still forming, how much room the system has if conversion softens, coverage weakens, or velocity slows. Those questions keep win rate honest. Without them, the metric becomes too flattering. With them, it becomes useful. Because the business is no longer asking, did we close a good percentage? It is asking, what does that percentage mean inside the real condition of the pipeline we have now? That is the question that keeps win rate from misleading. And once that standard is applied, the business becomes much better at separating visible efficiency from true pipeline strength.
That is why win rate should never be trusted alone. It can describe conversion well, but only pipeline context can show whether that conversion is happening inside a system strong enough to support the business reliably.